Now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Hello and welcome to the Pick and Go podcast. Yes, once again, we're a man down. Patrick has left us to the sunny beaches of Fiji. We may see him on the sideline of the drill game this weekend. But, so I'm sure he'll have his drill kit on, ready to cheer the boys on. But yeah, so I'm going to lead the show this today again. Richard Ladd is my name if you haven't seen me before. This is Paul. Paul's a regular. Paul, how are you?
Good, yeah. Looking forward to it. We've got looking at the final round of the regular season. The top 8 have almost been sort of worked out. The Force may have something to say about that, but I'm looking forward to the final round, and then of course we get into the business end of the season.
Absolutely. We've got a special guest on today. He's sort of become our super sub of the Pick and Go podcast, James Marshall from the Water Lad podcast. Welcome, James. How are you?
Hey, good. Thanks, mate. Happy to be a super sub or whatever you want to call me, but more than happy to jump on here whenever I can. Love my time on the Pick and Go podcast.
He's almost like our Samasoni Tokiahau.
Yeah,
comes in, scores 2 or 3 tries, and then just lifts the show.
Absolutely. Good for the morale. So yeah, cool. I've plenty to discuss this week, as Paul said. Yeah, the final round, and we've also got a pretty interesting round 14 to sort of recap. And we'll probably start with what was sort of billed as the game of the round. It probably lived up to the hype. The Brumbies and the Blues at GIO Stadium on Saturday night. Great game. Brumbies looked like they got it with about a 77th minute try. And Lolosio kicking a pretty clutch conversion to go ahead by 1. But Beauden Barrett and the Blues had other things to say.
Not just that. They had the ball. They also had possession with, less than a minute to go. Usually a team like the Brumbies, you think they're going to hold on to that. Just one-off, hit-ups, fairly simple rugby, error-free, and then kick it out when the final whistle goes. And they were trying to do that, but a wonderful, wonderful turnover by, I think it was Dalton Papali'i in the end, gave the Blues the opportunities, and they drove downfield. And got the penalty advantage, but didn't need it in the end. Barrett took the drop kick, and it was a nice win for the Blues, which means that they have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They're number 1 seed. They can't be overtaken regardless of results this week. I thought the forward battle between the two teams was just fantastic. Both were very, very good. I love the try to Barrett. It's a lovely set piece. Very, very simple move with Perofeta at first receiver, missed pass onto Barrett, through the gap, pretty much untouched try. There were some lovely, lovely sort of pieces of play there by both teams.
Yeah, the Brumbies have been defending on their line for about 20 minutes straight at that point. So they've done very well, and it was in about the 42nd minute. So it was the last play of the game from the scrum. So he cursed the Blues for getting over the line. But James, I remember we sort of asked you this. I think last time on the podcast, the Brumbies were on their run with their wins over the New Zealand teams. Did you still like what you saw? Like, personally, I thought it was a brilliant effort from the Brumbies to sort of stay in there. They had 71% possession and 70% territory against them in the first half, and they should have been ahead at the first half. So do you think the Brumbies are still sort of a legitimate title contender?
Oh, definitely. I think you saw from the Blues how hard this Brumbies side is to beat. And what I love about the Brumbies is just they play such a different style to all the other sides in this competition. They're very much a UK Premiership side who's come over to play Super Rugby. Their kicking game, their set piece, they got huge focuses on those parts of the game, and they just play a different style to the other sides. And they really back their D as well. And you saw in that sort of last 20 minutes of that first half, how well they defended their line. And you can see what a difference it makes by having a goal line dropout now when the ball's held up. I think the Blues were held up maybe 4 times in that period, and going to a goal line dropper such a game changer compared to that 5-metre scrum, which it would have been last year. So, yeah, I definitely think the Brumbies are still a chance to win this competition. It's going to be harder now that they're not going to be at home, but just the way they play, they're a really hard side to beat.
Yeah, and they've proved they can win away from home. You know, they went to FMG Stadium a few weeks ago and beat the Chiefs, well, Chiefs pretty convincingly as well. So, proven they can do it. But the Blues have, I mean, they've been great at Eden Park. So, it's sort of shaping up to be a pretty exciting finals with those top sort of 4 to 6 teams. I think probably only the top 3 or 4 that can win from here. You know, I mean, are we putting a line for the Hurricanes yet? I think they're about $12.
Never.
No, don't.
Not while Artie Sevilla's in the squad.
We'll get. I'm sure we'll have a little chat about the Hurricanes a bit later on. But for any of the teams in the top 4, probably the last team you want to play is the Hurricanes, because you know that on their day they can absolutely run away with a game and put one on you. So, no, let's not write them off just yet. It's going to be tough for them because they're Western Australia this weekend, then we've got to come all the way back here and probably take on the Chiefs up in Hamilton.
Like riding, everything goes
as planned.
Think, but it's been a pretty wild tournament so far, so we'll see. There was just a few stats on that Blues Brumbies game I did want to bring up, so that just showed how sort of one-sided the game was, apart from the scoreline, really. So the run meters were 279 versus 596. So obviously 279 to the Brumbies. Defenders beaten. The Brumbies had 7. The Blues had 37. Tackles, Brumbies 213 tackles. Blues 102.
There's that defense.
And the penalties 16 to 5. So and Brumbies, we haven't even mentioned the Brumbies played, part of that first half with 14 and even 13 men at one point, and we're still defending the line. So just kudos to the Brumbies. They really showed what they can do. And I don't know, they would have been gutted not to get the win, but I think they still would have taken plenty away from that game. Also, Blues lost 7 of their scrums on their own feet. So that Brumbies set piece.
The Brumbies set piece is solid as a rock.
Yeah. So that was a great game, lived up to expectation, and looking forward to seeing how these 2 teams go in the next few weeks. We'll start up, just go through the other games and sort of the order they came. Crusaders versus Drua, 61-3 to the Crusaders. Paul and I were both quite keen on the Drua. The point start was 30.5 last week. Were you, did you expect a bit more from the Drua as well, James, or is that just the Crusaders back and firing and at all cylinders now?
I just think that Drua side that they put out was pretty average, to be honest, and we saw it a couple of weeks earlier when they sent their side over to play the Hurricanes, and it was a similar sort of score. So Crusaders, are they back? They've got the quality in their squad. I think they're obviously going to be right there coming into these final games, but I think there's a big difference between the Drua's strongest side and the Drua squad that they don't that they send over when they are probably looking ahead to the game the following week, which is this one at home, I think, against the Chiefs. It looks like they've named their pretty much full strength side this week, and I think they'll be a bit harder to beat this weekend than they were last weekend. But there's a massive difference between their top squad and their second stringers, I think.
That's a good point, because when they had their first game in Suva the week before, I'm pretty sure they put on a.
That was when they played the Blues, and actually, it was a few second stringers, but they played really well.
They did, but they play their. Obviously, they look forward to the big homecoming, I guess. So I'm looking forward to what they do this weekend. But they were totally outplayed by the Crusaders. From a betting point of view, I was disappointed. I had Lester Nuku to score 2 tries.
One each half.
Yeah, and he scores in the second one. I think, well, that's it. I've got my money.
Really
the ball hardly went to him after that in the second half. So
a few of the other outside backs ended up getting over as well.
Yeah, well, I think George Bridge came on and got a try down that left hand side as well. So, but the Crusaders, it's hard to draw a line because they were up against the second string Drua, but you can only play what the opposition put in front of you, and they played very, very well.
And their team, look like they're sort of coming right at the right team, and they're full of confidence at the moment. So, they'll be one to obviously, as always, watch once it comes finals time.
And they'll get a tougher run this week, so it'll be a good sort of entree before they head into the playoffs.
Yeah, they should. It'll be a good game, that one. I'm looking forward to it. Friday night, we had Reds Moana Pacifica, 34-22 to the Reds. I just sort of felt this game sort of summed up Moana Pacifica's season a little bit. You know, they started strong, they got the points on the board early, and then they sort of just got let down. They had a couple of discipline, and their set piece was pretty bad as well. Yeah, I mean, what have you thought of Moana Pacifica's season? I mean, it's obviously been tough, James, with their sort of the COVID interruptions for them. Do you think they'll be sort of happy where they are, or they would have expected more, or just looking forward to next season?
I think it would have been hard to expect too much more. I think all the teams coming into this competition, it was always going to be hard for them. You've seen the Drua, you've seen Moana, both at the bottom of the table. I think they've put in some really good performances, both of them, but just getting used to playing that quality of rugby week in, week out has been tough. And especially for Moana, it's their set piece has been the absolute kryptonite. You can't win a game. You see how important a set piece is. All the good teams in this competition have great set pieces. You look at the Brumbies, Blues, Crusaders, and you compare them to the Moana down the bottom who concede a couple of rolling maul tries every week. Their scrum gets dominated. Their lineout's ineffective. So really hard to get their game going. Other than that, they play some really good footy, and it's awesome having both those sides in this competition. I think they've made an awesome impact into the competition, added interest, and the community, the Moana Pacific community, has really got them behind them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it'll be next year if they sort of able to play COVID and not COVID and sort of interrupted, a few more games at home, be able to get some big crowds in for those sort of local derbies. And I think if there was a Moana Pacifica Drua game that's in either at Mount Smart or over in Fiji next year, I'm very much looking forward to that. So did you have anything to sort of add about that game or about Moana Pacifica's season on the whole?
Yeah, I think if you look at International Rugby League and teams like Samoa, Tonga, 10 years ago, they wouldn't have been challenging the likes of Australia or the Kiwis or that. But they've started to draw top tier players into their teams now. And we've seen Tonga beat Australia. We've seen Tonga beat the Kiwis. So I can see Moana Pacific and Fiji and Drua building on what they've started this season. It was, as James said, it's always going to be hard this season. And there's a huge drop when they put their second stringers on as well. So obviously they're going to start building a wee bit of depth, a wee bit more experience as well. And that will draw more players in as the years go by. So I think things are looking up for both of those teams. But I look at Moana Pacifica at the bottom of the table. They've got one win, and that win was against the Hurricanes. And I think the game's probably looking at that game going, well, if we'd picked that one up, we'd be in fourth place right now.
I know, it was huge,
and we'd be in control of a home quarterfinal. So that's one that might come back to them. But yeah, in terms of Fiji and Drua and Moana Pacifica, I can only see them both sort of getting better and better as the seasons build up.
Yeah, just need a couple of big signings. We need to get some people who sort of want to go over and play for them, and then it could be a real game changer. You've seen what those big sort of players in each team can do, but you just need a few more people in key positions. And I'm looking forward to seeing them. It's going to be a couple, as you say, it's going to be a bit of a build up.
You get a Jason Taumalolo type player who says, "No, I want to play for Moana Pacifica," and then then the things the dominoes will start to fall.
Yeah. So that'll be exciting times ahead for those teams. I think I'm with you guys there. Cool. Head up Saturday afternoon, FMG Stadium. Chiefs hosting the Force. Chiefs put on a bit of a clinic here, actually, 54-21. I think we were both quite high on the Chiefs. We thought they'd bounce back from that sort of pretty disappointing.
Or did they bounce back?
The Rebels, and they look great. Do you guys think that was a sort of confidence boost? Start with you, Paul. The confidence boost that the Chiefs needed to come to the finals.
It's definitely a confidence boost after they've had some sort of rough times over the last 3 or 4 weeks. I was really disappointed in the Force, the defense. A couple of those Chiefs tries, they almost walked over untouched. The Force defense it was almost the absolute opposite of the Brumbies defense against the Blues. It was amazing how obviously the Chiefs had to work hard to put players in positions to score, but crikey, some of that defense from the Force was non-existent at times.
needed more from the Force. Really, they've been pretty disappointing. The season was pretty high, and then throughout the whole sort of earlier on, and even the early stages, of put on a few performances, but they've really struggled against these some of these New Zealand teams. Are you liking the looks of that Chiefs midfield at the moment, Tupaia and Nankerville, James?
Yeah, I was going to say Quinn Tupaia had a massive game, and he's sort of putting his hand up at the right time of the year. I thought he was relatively quiet for the early part of the season. Nankerville sort of had that 12 spot over him and pushed him out to wing, but looking at the squad this week, Nankerville out to the wing, Quinn at 12, so he's definitely got that Chiefs 12 jersey sewn up, and he's obviously chasing higher honours for that All Black 12 spot, which is going to be such an interesting selection when we get to that later in the year. But so many guys, so many options, all playing well. So, don't envy the All Black selectors. I know they're going to be copying it from someone, no matter who they go.
Yeah, exactly. I think, that's the thing with that 12. There actually is a handful of guys who are playing well, play good footy. No one's going to like really put themselves ahead as such, but there's plenty of options. So interesting to see. I'm sure we'll be talking about that in a couple of weeks' time in the build up to the Ireland tests, which are
good.
They're going to creep up, aren't they? What are they, about 2 months? About 5 or 6 weeks away. So
got a couple of games against the Maoris as well. I'm looking forward to that. A midweek game down here in Wellington, popping along, big time.
Saturday night, Sky Stadium, Hurricanes Rebels. Hurricanes also put on a bit of a show for the faithful that came out, and I think it was a pretty clear, but it was a cold Wellington night.
A still night.
Yeah, it was. Was it still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah,
it was.
It was cold, but it was.
Yeah, but there was basically no wind at all.
You got to make the most of those days. You can't bet it on a good day, that's for sure. So I mean, the Rebels have been a bit of a funny one, but James, did you think the Hurricanes were sort of impressive, or the Rebels were a bit below par?
I thought that game was about as expected, to be fair. I think the Hurricanes have potentially the best attack in the competition. I love some of their attacking shape that they run, and I always thought the Rebels would struggle with that. I thought Geordie was massive moving into 12. He's probably the one who has put his hand up the most, especially with the form Will Jordan's in. It'd be hard as an All Black selector not to be tempted to go that way around. But I do love the way the Canes are attacking. They've just been a little bit inconsistent with areas of their game to be able to continually play well, but they haven't had the likes of, they've got Dane Coles returning, TJ, Artie, Geordie. When you've got all those four guys on the field at once, coming into this quarterfinal, I think they're going to be a really hard side to beat.
Yeah. So see, Ruben Love sort of put his back there, and he played fullback that game. Who do you guys want to see playing fullback for the Canes? Because Morby's there this week. Obviously, they got Geordie. I know who you're going to say.
I love Geordie in the 15. I love the fact that he has a wee bit more freedom to slot in sort of anywhere he sort of wants to. He's got that huge boot on him from the back as well, which can save the forwards when they're getting a wee bit tired. Obviously, he plays really, really well wherever they put, whatever sort of jersey they put him in. He's going to have a boomer of a game. So, but I think, and I understand with the All Black selections coming up that Will Jordan is like the front runner at the moment. I don't know. Do they look at sort of having 3 fullbacks on the field, maybe, or at least 2 when it comes to All Black time? But if you ask me where I prefer Geordie, I'd love to see him in the 15 jersey for the Canes. But wherever he plays, he'll make his mark.
Do you like him in the 15 or 12, James?
To be fair, I don't think it really matters for him. Like, he is so adapted to both positions, and like we see, he's played so well in both positions. I think it's just going to depend on who's their best fullback or who's their best 12 and to what position he plays, whether they want either a Ruben Love or whether they want a Billy Proctor or Peter Umaga Jensen in there. So it might come down to a little bit of the form of the other guys. I thought Ruben Love was impressive on his return last week. And Morby obviously gets his crack this weekend. So the one thing the Canes have done all year is they've really rotated their squad. They haven't really settled on any combinations throughout the year. And I feel like they're going to have to try and start doing that soon because quarterfinals next week. So hopefully they've got their combinations sorted.
it's the sort of the joke, one of the jokes of the Pick and Go
They haven't had
podcast,
the
isn't
same
it?
back line one.
We don't think
Have
that,
they?
yeah,
Twice
I
this
don't
season.
think so.
They haven't.
This week they've got Perinara, Morgan, Riassi, Proctor, Sullivan, Hooson, and Morby. So maybe a backline we'll see before, but still maybe not Proctor.
No, I don't think
Sullivan.
so.
I don't know. I don't think
You've usually
that
got Geordie somewhere.
Yeah. So Geordie's having a rest, and yeah, and anticipation.
And Savier's been in there a lot too, to be fair. So
yeah,
I
Savier's
think it might be a full new one.
Yeah, definitely. So incredible. That was sort of exactly. Yeah, with the Gillian. So yeah, so the Hurricanes. Who knows what we'll sort of see from them in the coming weeks. Sorry, my mouse pad's gone. But what the next game was the Blues, obviously. The Highlanders.
the red card game.
Highlanders, Waratahs, also Sunday. Where do you start? Do you start the red card? I mean, would the Highlanders have won if there wasn't for the red card? What do you think?
Certainly, they would have been in the game for a lot longer. Certainly, it was a fairly easy decision for the referee to make.
Yeah.
That was a red card 20 years ago. So I'm not sure what was going through his head. I don't understand. But in terms of the game, it was pretty much over for the Highlanders after that. The Waratahs have really, really come to the fore over the last few weeks. They've played some really, really nice football. I've been really impressed by them. I didn't think they'd put up much of a fight this season. I thought the Brumbies and the Reds would be the top two Australian teams, and there'd be a bit of a gap back to the rest. Well, Reds have been really disappointing for mine. And the Waratahs are the ones that have sort of put up their hands, and they put their hands up at the right time of the season as well. They've got a they've got a lovely set of loose forwards. Their backline is really functioning at a high level right now. So,
no Parisi too. We talked about it
no,
last
and
week.
he was a big part of that sort of their go forward. They set a lot of moves up around him, and so. He was a big loss, but they still.
I've liked what I've seen from the Waratahs last sort of 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah,
they hands down the most improved team in the comp. And who would have thought that they would be within a chance of the semi-final spot? They do obviously have to have other results go their way, but I think they can still sort of sneak in there. Do you think that's it for the Highlanders now that sort of Gilbert's out? I think there's still some question marks over Mitch Hunt's fitness with his concussions, I think. So do you think they can, any chance of sort of, they'll probably be playing the Blues if they even make it to the quarters?
They're always a chance, but you'd definitely be backing the Blues in that one after that performance. But like you say, I sort of thought the Waratahs were well overpriced last weekend, paying $4 to beat the Highlanders. And I sort of saw that performance coming from the last couple of times. They obviously beat the Crusaders. They really pushed the Hurricanes. Their set piece has been massive. Like their scrum's been really dominant. Obviously smoked the Hurricanes scrum. I don't often see Lomax go back like he did against the Waratahs scrum. So they've obviously improved something massively there. And their game's just really grown. They're definitely Australia's second best side. And they're a side who'll be quite niggly to play come those playoffs. So I've been impressed with the Waratahs. Like you say, definitely the most improved side in the comp. Where the Landers sit, I don't know. They've been so inconsistent. The week before, they looked red hot. That weekend, they were shocking. You mentioned wonder why Sam Gilbert did that. I reckon it was because we had a Waterloo power play for him to kick 100%. He kicked his first one and he got off the field and helped the punters out. So anyone who got on that, fair play, and you can probably buy Sam Gilbert a beer, but he'll be sitting up for the next 5 weeks.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time to drink it.
Have you eyed anyone up for a Waterloo power play? Similar sort of play this week?
Yeah, we've got Marty Banks. We're going to follow him, and I've been messaging him all week. He said he's been kicking around, so he'll kick his first one, and maybe he probably couldn't do a red card if he tried.
he had some practice last week as well, So
just the Waratahs, though, as James said, they were so dominant in the scrum against the Hurricanes. They forced the Canes to make changes in the first half to the front row. That's how
every week.
That's how dominant they were.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of talk at the start of this. We know that when these cross games happen, there's New Zealand Australian teams, but yeah, it's safe to say Australian teams have got 5 wins now. It's a lot more than anyone sort of had. So kudos to them, and there could be another one on the cards this weekend. Just a quick mention, Tuesday night, the Force keeping their season alive. Against Moana Pacifica. Once again, Moana Pacifica sort of started strong, and then the Force sort of ran away with it late, but they got their big bonus point win, and the Force are keeping their hopes alive. So, anything to sort of comment about that game? Or I actually didn't watch that game myself. So
not really. It's been a long season for the Moana Pacifica, so I think they'll be happy to see the end of the season. Then they can start a bit of a review and planning for the next season.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So we might as well, rip into this week's games. We'll just go in order of when the games are. Start at Friday night, Orange Theory Stadium, my favourite regional stadium name in New Zealand. Crusaders playing the Reds. Crusaders have got a pretty dominant sort of record against the Reds. They've won 9 straight, and last time they played was that 63-28 win in Brisbane last year, where I think
Wonga went crazy.
It was him, generally, him at his best. So plenty more, but it's hard to sort of give the Reds much hope in this. So Crusaders opening up 18.5-point favourites. What sort of side do you reckon you're leaning on that point start there, James?
Yeah, it's quite a tough point start, I thought. Obviously, no Mo'unga. He's got a fractured finger. Should be right next week. But I thought Fergus Burke was awesome for them last weekend. So he gets another opportunity. I'll probably going overs. I think this game might blow out late in this game. Expecting a big game from the Crusaders back 3. Even like George Bridge, All Black incumbent on the bench, can't quite even get a starting spot. But as from a coaching perspective, it's always quite hard when you're playing the same team the following week, potentially, or more than likely in the quarterfinals. So it'll be interesting to see how much they hold back, what sort of plays they look to set them up for the following week, and how much the result matters in this one.
Yeah, it looks like Crusaders have named probably without Mo'unga, probably their strongest sort of team they've got. So they've got Jordan, Reese, and Whanganuku in the backs, back 3. Havili and Inor in the centres. Fergus Burke. Yeah, on Fergus Burke, I was sort of like, I think one of the reasons I got on the Drua last week because I wasn't sure how Fergus Burke would go, but I was playing against the Drua, but you can only sort of play what's ahead of you, and that was definitely sort of the most impressive I've seen him in the Crusaders jersey. And they've gone with that, back 3 of Grace, Blackadder, and Matera as well. Whitelock, Barrett, and the locks. So strong team. And I think you're right. I can kind of maybe see the Reds sort of putting up a bit of a fight, but I think the Crusaders will run away with it late. Maybe one of Patrick's favourites. He's 11-20. Might even be 21-30, I reckon. Just a few other stats. 5 of the last 9 wins the Crusaders have been by 18.5 or more. And the average winning margin in the last 6 in Christchurch has been 21. So the line's probably, I don't know, maybe, just about right with Crusaders without Mo'unga, I reckon. Crusaders haven't been great at home this season. They've only covered 2 of their last 7 and obviously lost 2 at home as well. But I think I'll probably be leaning on the side of on the minus in this game. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, I think so too. To be fair, the Crusaders really don't have too much to play for. They can't catch the Blues in first place. And the Brumbies are 4 points behind them. So, and as you say, they probably don't want to give too much away because they're probably going to be facing up against the same team next weekend. So, even though it is 18.5, just the way the Reds have played this year.
No, I think Noah Connor for the Reds as well, which is always a big out. So Lawson Creighton's playing 10.
They have been disappointing for mine. So if I'm leaning one way, I'm leaning the Crusaders minus 18.5.
I think the Reds sort of they've probably been the biggest or one of the biggest disappointments this season, I have to say. Head up to Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock, sunny Lautoka at Churchill Park. Chiefs and the Drua taking on. So Chiefs opening up, I'm not sure what they opened up as, but they're currently 15.5-point favourites against the Drua. We sort of mentioned before the Drua sort of threw out a bit of a second string side against the Crusaders last week, and they've named a much stronger team this week. In front of the home crowd, James, backing the Drua to sort of keep it tight.
I'm backing them to keep it tight initially, but I do think it will blow out in the back end of the game. 15 points, couple of late tries. I'll probably still be going the Chiefs unders on that one.
Yeah, the Chiefs sort of looked to really click last week, after a couple of disappointing performances, and it'll be warm, I'm sure, there, but it should be good conditions for some good rugby. The Drua they haven't got a great record covering the spread. They've only covered 2 of the last 7, so I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I'm sure they'll get a big crowd in. Our host and friend Patrick Jones might be in the crowd. So
He'll stick out.
He'll be
his wavy blonde hair.
Wavy blonde hair.
Yeah, you'll know him.
It'll be good to see. The Chiefs, they haven't actually been the most reliable sort of betting team this year. They've only covered 3 of the last 9. So we'll see. But what do you got a strong take on this one?
I think the Chiefs in the end will be way too good. If I was going to have a bit of a sort of a bet outside the square, I'd be tempted to take the Drua to lead at halftime and the Chiefs to win. I think with that home crowd support, the Drua will come out on fire, and they might score early and hold on until halftime and then just get run down by the Chiefs. So yeah, the half full-time double Drua Chiefs is one that I don't mind at all.
I don't mind that. Would have come through in the Highlanders game, I think. Were they were up at halftime then, were they?
Against the
Drua?
Yes, I think they were. Yeah.
Drua were up, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no Chiefs team yet, but they do need to sort of win this game if they want to have that home quarterfinal. So I imagine they'll still be naming a pretty. Oh, did you say there is a Chiefs team, James? Or
I know it. Retallick's back.
Oh, is he? Huge news. There you go.
So he's
We get
timed
all
his
the good
run
oil from Jay. We get the great oil from Jay. Nankiville on the wing. Tupaira at 12. There we go. We've got 3 of the Chiefs team already.
Yes, from there. Would you say it's a pretty strong team?
Yeah, it is pretty strong. Yeah.
So
minus 15 and a half.
15 and a half. Yeah, I think so. I think that. I'd love to see the Drua proper fight, but it's been a long season for them. The Chiefs will be wanting to. They've been slowly getting their big names back, and it should be too good.
It guarantees them 4th place. The win guarantees them 4th.
Yes, it does. Yeah, they're on 41, and I think Hurricanes on 38. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Later on Saturday, Moana Pacifica versus the Brumbies. Moana Pacifica like the Drua. It's been a bit of a long season, and it might be a pretty tough sort of final game for them. The Brumbies, from what I see, have named it pretty close to their strongest team. Got basically a full strength back line, and then mix it up a little bit in the forwards. But I think the line's 18.5. But this one could get ugly, I reckon. Oh.
Yeah, as we say, the Moana Pacifica have struggled against the set piece all season long against teams, and the strength of the Brumbies is the set piece. So I'm tempted to get on McInerney to score a try or 2. Yeah, I think they just look just far too strong across the board, and it'll be a struggle for Moana Pacifica right from the outset. I think the minus 18.5, I think, is you got to slot that into any number of multis you might have this weekend, because the Brumbies just look way too good for this Moana Pacifica side.
James, so here you've got a little bit of goal for us for power play in this game.
Yeah, the Waterloo power play I sent through. I haven't got the odds back on it yet, but the Brumbies hookers, so the starting hooker and the reserve hooker, because never know when that change is going to happen. But both of them to combine and score more than 3 tries or 3 or more tries. So I'm with you. I think they're set piece. They're happy to just kick the corner, score off the rolling mauls. There's nothing fancy about their game, but they are very, very efficient at it. And I think it's the best maul attack against the worst maul D. So I think they're just going to hammer them there.
I don't know if there's a stat anywhere, but the amount of tries conceded from rolling mauls from the Moana Pacifica team, I mean, they must be averaging a couple a game. The Blues scored about 4 in one game, and Highlanders did about the same. So
it's been tough for them.
Yeah, I love that, James. I think I don't know what the price will be, but I'll be having a little nibble at that one for sure. Yeah, and also for the Pacific, they've got the quick turnaround as well. You know, they played on Tuesday and last Saturday, or last Friday. So yeah, it'll be 3 games in 8 days. So yeah, I can't see this ending up too well for them. Probably the match of the round next, Waratahs Blues. Waratahs currently 1.5 point underdogs at home. They opened $3.70 in the head-to-head market, and that's come into $2.05, I think. So obviously, people sort of realizing that maybe the Blues won't send their full strength team.
I think they're favourites now. I think they're into $1.70.
Oh, really?
The money's come for
Wow,
them.
so it's happened since, I think I wrote that down last night.
Tars $1.72, Blues $2.05.
Yeah,
Wow.
the money's really come. The Blues lineup, I think, must have got through to the bookies, but
Yeah.
it is a very weakened lineup. So
Yeah, and I think that was I think it was Monday morning the odds came out, and then by Monday at 10 o'clock at night, they dropped considerably from that starting point of 370. So if there's any punters out there that got on at 370, well done to you, because you're
well ahead of
probably
the
get a nice little cash out on that already, you know, like with the odds, the way they've moved.
ride it the whole way.
Can the Blues still get this one, or do you reckon they're just going to throw out their B team games and just looking forward to next week?
yeah, it is their B team, and they're definitely looking ahead to next week. But it's a good opportunity for some of these guys who have trained all year, haven't had much of an opportunity. The Blues haven't rotated their squad like the other teams have. They've been pretty set and building combinations, and they've kept their back line pretty much the whole way through. So it's an opportunity for these guys who have been training really hard to show what they can do and sort of earn contracts for following years or a starting spot if there's any injuries. And I guess there's one opportunity with Caleb Clark out for the next 3 weeks for someone like an AJ Lamb to really put his hand up and cement a starting spot for the next 3 weeks heading into these big matches.
Do you have any word on is Rico back next week? Do you know?
Unsure about Rico, to be honest.
I think I sort of saw they thought maybe he'd be back by first week of finals, but
yeah,
it was so good. So
they could probably
got a pretty good.
They got enough depth to cover for him even in the first week of the playoffs.
Yeah. So actually, So like I just had a look at stats for this game. It's 3-3 the last 3 in Sydney, but the Blues have won 6 straight overall. The Waratahs have covered 7 of the last 9 at home this season, and 12 of the last 17 is home underdogs. 14 of the last 20 overall. So the against the spread stats probably definitely
they're darlings.
Yeah, but now they're what, probably -1 favourites, are they? Or,
-1.5.
That's 1.5 maybe. Yeah. So interesting. I think that the Waratahs probably got nothing to lose. They'll really want to win this. They still are in the hunt for that 4th place. If magically the Chiefs and the Hurricanes lose, so they'll want to come in with some confidence. So yeah, I think Waratahs. I liked them I think when I first looked at the market, it was 220. I missed down the 370 myself, but I didn't mind that a little bit. And then to hear they've come in even more is quite juicy. Later on, midnight, everyone will be staying up for this game, I'm sure. Beloved Hurricanes playing the Force over in Perth. Hurricanes 17.5 point favourites. From what I can tell, these two teams have met 9 times, and the Canes are 9-0. And the winning margin on the last 4 games has been 37, 22, 35, and 29. So, yeah, definitely a matchup that the Hurricanes have dominated. 7.5, is that too many points, James, or you're jumping on the Hurricanes?
I thought, is it 17 or 7?
Maybe it's 7. Maybe I've written that down wrong.
I thought it was 17.
No, 17.5. Yeah.
Yeah, 17.
Yeah.
I think, it's a niggly point start, that one, I think. I think the factor that the Force are also having to travel from New Zealand on a Tuesday night to get back there sort of takes a travel advantage of that they usually get playing at home. I think the Canes have named a pretty strong lineup, so I think they'll just cover that, but it will be close. Probably won't be betting on it.
I just had a look. It's actually 15.5 now, so it has moved a little bit.
Couple more points
last night, so yeah, makes maybe a little bit more comfy.
Now it's definitely under 50. They'll cover 15.
I used to be on the bench this week, Paul. Paul, last week you were very clear about no Artie, no cover, and the Hurricanes still managed to cover. You're happy with the 15.5? Hurricanes playing in Perth?
Yeah, no. Oh, crikey. He's on the bench as an insurance policy. If the Force actually put a bit of a fight up, Artie will be on to sort things out. So, what is good to see, Dane Coles and Owen Frank starting in the front row. Obviously, they haven't had a lot of game time at all this season, so they're probably a couple of players who really do need to get some good minutes into them before we hit the playoffs. So it's good to see them. And I thought the scrum improved immensely when Owen Franks, and I think it was Muffy Lau came on against the Waratahs. They really, it did show a huge difference. So I think Owen Franks, for mine, is the most important person in the Hurricanes heading into the playoffs. We already know what we're going to get from Artie. He's the strongest player in the Super Rugby competition. He's the fittest player and he's got the biggest ticker. So we know what we're going to get from Artie. We know what we're going to get from Geordie. What we need is that set piece to be as solid as a rock. Yeah. And I think that all revolves around, firstly, Owen Franks and then Dane Coles as well. So I'm hoping to see a good performance from both of those players and from the set piece from the Hurricanes against the Force. If we see that, then that 15.5, that won't be enough. Yeah. It won't be enough. But the Canes will just be happy to get out of there with a win and no injuries.
Yeah, well, the Canes have been pretty bad on the road lately. They've only covered one of their last 8, and 4 of their last 13 is road favourites. So look into that. Take what you want. They're obviously not the most reliable road team, but I think they're coming right at the right time. They've named a good team. I see Morgan's at 10 again, so yeah, he must be their preferred choice. Would you rather see Ruben Love or someone else at 10, James, or are you happy with being impressed with what you're seeing from Adam Morgan?
No, I think Morgan's done a really good job when he's been given the opportunities, and like you said, I think they've kept him there for maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks now. So he's obviously the one they've chosen to take them through to the finals. So another opportunity for him to get some time in that driver's seat, because as a 10, you just want to be playing consistently, and when you're chopping and changing all the time, it makes it hard, and you sort of hard to keep bossing that side around when you're in and out and not feeling that comfortable. I think after seeing him there for 3 or 4 weeks, he looks really comfortable there now. So back him in to take them all the way up the Canes.
Yes, up the Canes. Especially on a team that, as we said, seems to be changing their backline every week. The fact they've sort of really committed to that is good to see. Ruben Love might be able to sort of, I don't know, either gives one to fullback or as a sort of utility off the bench and make some impact. So we'll see. But yeah, I think with that game, it's always hard backing the Hurricanes as big favourites, but especially on the road. But I might just be doing that. We'll see. Final game of the round, Sunday afternoon at Amy Park. Rebels versus the Highlanders. Highlanders 7.5-point favourites here. The Rebels have actually won 2 of the last 3 and against the Highlanders, and 2 of the last 3 versus the Highlanders in Melbourne as well. So a few stats to go the sort of Rebels' way, and the Highlanders obviously playing with their with Marty Banks at 10 with no Gilbert, and I think sounds like Hunt's still out as well. Plenty to play for the Highlanders though. They if they had won last week, they would have probably sent a BC team over, because but they do need to win this. Well, they'll know, I suppose, by the time of the game whether or not they need to win it. Whether the Force sort of beat the Hurricanes, but they will be naming a pretty strong side, you imagine. It's a hard one to pick. I just sort of I feel this could go either way. I feel the Rebels could even sort of pull off an upset, but the Highlanders could win by 20 as well, making a statement. You've got a strong lean one way, Paul?
It depends on the result of the Canes Force game. Yeah. I get the feeling that if I'm the Highlanders, I'm doing what the Blues are doing, sort of thing. I'm resting a few players if the Force lose the night before. But outside, there's not a lot to play for. They're they've got 8th place locked up if the Force lose on Saturday night. So what do they do? They go out and put their top team on, so they come into the playoffs with a bit of momentum and risk someone getting an injury or possibly a red card.
Surprise.
It's a tough game at the moment. It's a tough game to pick. I don't think the Force will win on Saturday night, so I think the Highlanders are safe in 8th place. So then, what do they do? I guess I don't know.
Can you sort of change your team? You probably know more, James. Like, would they, if the Force did lose, or presuming the Force lose, the Highlanders, are you sort of able to change your team a lot like that, or like once you've already named it, or?
Nah, they won't be changing their team like that. It'll be too late. But I think they've got more important things to worry about. I think they need to put in a really good performance for themselves leading into these playoffs games. The last thing they want is guys getting pulled out last minute and rested for the following week. These guys need to be playing, and they need a little bit more confidence heading into what's going to be an extremely tough matchup against the Blues next weekend. So, I think they'll cover this point start, to be fair. And, I'm expecting a relatively good performance from them.
Yeah, they do. They would have been gutted about that game last week. You know, they were sort of coming right at the right time, and they were coming in with some confidence. And then just to have that sort of that hit, and kind of from that red card, they never really were in it. You know, I think the Waratahs even had a yellow card to themselves, but they weren't able to capitalise at all. So, yeah, I hope they put on a good performance. From what I can see, there's no Highlanders team yet. Do we have any inside knowledge from you, James? Is Marty Banks playing 10? Or I did see there was some talk of Aaron Smith going out to 10.
Marty Banks is at 10, yeah.
Aaron Smith, that will not happen.
I think that was just Pungwani in the office. Do the TJ or the pity. Yeah, you love to see it. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think I'll be on the minus that game. I think the Highlanders will put on a show, and they want to sort of kick in, come some confidence. Cool. Before we get to sort of betting, I did want to quickly touch on just with 1 week to go, this Super Rugby sort of outrights the market and how it's looking. At the moment, the Blues and Crusaders are joint favourites, $2.50. Chiefs third at $5. Brumbies fourth at $7. Hurricanes $12, and then the others are. 3 of the teams are $41. And I think the Force are about 501. So if you're really confident on the Force, chuck a couple of bucks in them, and he's not too much to lose. But are we backing a sort of Blues Crusaders final? Go around the table and just say who we think will be the final and who will be winner. I can start. I think it will be a Blues Crusaders final, and I think the Crusaders will win. So I'll be taking Crusaders towards 50. Cool.
Yep, mark me down.
James?
Interesting. I was actually very surprised that the Blues aren't outright favourites in this. I'm sure you've got the stats, but home advantage in Super Rugby finals time seems to be massive. I think they probably up until since 2015 when the Hurricanes lost to the Highlanders, it's probably always been the home team, I'd imagine, from memory. But I think the Blues are in obviously position A, and I feel like they should be favourites. But I don't think it's going to be as clear cut as turning up and winning for Crusaders or the Blues through this quarterfinal times. 3 games now. It's a lot harder than your normal semi-final format. Teams like the Hurricanes, $12. I think that's relatively juicy when they get all their hands on deck and find their final side. Chiefs are a chance. Brumbies are a chance. But if I had to put my life on it, I'd be going the Blues.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, home advantage obviously huge. I think like Crusaders won over in South Africa 1 year, I think, but every other year since has been.
That's right.
I'm getting up nice and early for that game. Weekend away in Tekapo.
Red card too, wasn't it?
That's right.
Smith, and they came home flying in the last sort of 10 minutes.
Yeah. Was it against the Lions, was it? No.
Yeah, against the Lions,
When the Lions went on that sort of good run. Cool. Any Crusaders player you think needs to, or you're expecting plenty for them to go all the distance? Keeping it simple.
Moanga.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. Yeah, I think he's just so important to that team, and you see when he's in and out and how different they are. If he's at his best, that'll be huge. And for you, James, for the Blues, are you looking at Barrett or are you looking elsewhere?
Yeah, I'm looking at Barrett. I don't think they would have won that game against the Brumbies in the weekend if Barrett wasn't playing. The Blues team of old would have got quite frustrated in that first half when they were getting held up and weren't getting the points. But he's such a calming influence on that side and stepped up when he needed to. He's so cool under pressure and obviously kicked the drop kick to win it. But yeah, he's such an important part of that side, I think.
Yeah, I saw that little snippet on social. I think it was a Mark Talia talking about the influence of Barrett and that team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can just imagine it, just a cool head. And as you say, yeah, Blues teams of old might not have sort of got on to take that one and be where they are, that number one position. So looking forward to it. It'll be an exciting couple of weeks to come. Cool. Might as well head to best bets. So best bet for the final round 15 of Super Rugby. Cool.
Chiefs head-to-head, $1.13.
Okay.
Wow.
James, you got a little bit more value for it.
What? You said best bet.
I know.
If you're just after a winner, that's not a bad shout. But I think you could almost multi up Crusaders, Chiefs, Brumbies, Hurricanes, Highlanders, and even potentially we'll save the
Stay away from this
Waratahs.
game.
Save the Waratahs for another one. But I think if you're going off these point starts that we've been going, I think the best one out of that lot is Brumbies to cover their point start. I think that's going to be a relatively big score there. I think they're going to be too clinical for Moana Pacifica. So the -18 there, I think they'll clear that easily.
Yeah, I love that one, and I think I'll be it's 9.5 now, but yeah, I think I'll also be jumping on that one. I think Brumbies with that set piece against the team, which has been very bad at set piece. Beautiful. Got some value for us, Paul?
Wow. I'm going the Tars Blues game, and I'm going Tars half full-time double, 230.
Don't mind that. James?
Yeah, I initially had Tars as the value just on the head-to-head market, but that was when it was when they weren't favourites, so the money's obviously come. So lost the value there instead of the 230 head-to-head. Now you got to go half-time, full-time, and risk all sorts. But what's my best bet? Value. I'm going to say whatever the Marty Banks to kick 100% comes in. That's going to be the value. Could be plenty.
I love that. And I think there'll be a few points scored in that game, I imagine. So we've seen some pretty good kicking the last few weeks from a few players. There's been some good sort of 8-8. I think there's a few that had 8 out of 9 a few weeks ago, and I think
Fergus Burke in the weekend.
Yeah,
7 from 8 or 8 from 9 or something.
Cool. My value bet: Chiefs 21-30 against the Drua at $4.40. Yeah, I think they'll run away with it, and could be a bit of a late flourish from the Chiefs.
Just makes my best bet look all that much better now. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, I'm just reiterating that. Upset alert, Paul?
I'm going Drua to lead at halftime, Chiefs to win at 6.50.
Okay. I don't know if that's an upset as such, but I suppose, it's Drua.
A halftime upset.
So,
it's paying 6.50. If that's not an upset, I don't know what is.
The value.
Wow. Oh, you're killing me, you two.
I do like the value though, so well done. I'm proud of you. Upset alert, James?
To be honest, I don't think there's going to be an upset this weekend now that the Waratahs are favourites. I thought the Waratahs were going to win when they were the upset. I still had that as my upset, but I think all the favourites are going to win this weekend, and you're better off multing them up than trying to find an upset.
Love that. Confidence. I will go Rebels $3.30. I'm a lot less confident about it than before we recorded this. After that discussion before, I've really gone flipped there. But
$3.
I think $3 now, is it?
Yep.
There you go.
$3.30
yesterday. So obviously a bit of money coming for them. Of course, we have Super Rugby bonus back on. Place a winning team and margin bet on any round 15 match, and if your team wins but by the wrong margin, we'll refund your bet up to $50 as a bonus bet. Check the punters lounge for the terms and conditions. Do you have a winning team margin bet for us?
Yeah, I was tossing up between two. I think I'm going to go Highlanders 1-12. Highlanders 1-12, and that is at the moment. It's
280.
280 it was before. Yeah, it hasn't come back up on my screen. Highlanders 1-12. I think the Rebels give them a bit of a game on. last game of the round 15.
Don't mind that. James?
Yeah, I think it's a good week for that special, actually. There's a lot of 13 plus things you can probably just add them up, $50 on, and go get your money with the Crusaders, Chiefs, Brumbies, Hurricanes. I think they're all pretty much good things, knowing that you probably get your money back if some reason it is closer than you expect. But I'm with the Highlanders 1 to 12 as well. I think that's probably the best value you'll get from that option.
Nice. I think the Hurricanes will win, but if it is closer than what I think it's going to be, I'll go Hurricanes 1 to 12 at 370. Maybe the treble will catch up on them. Maybe Artie will come on late and the Force sort of put up a fight. We saw what the Force did against the Blues at home. They pretty much should have won that game. They were in a position where they could have won that.
Yep.
Late finish. So yeah, Hurricanes 1 to 12 at 370. And then they obviously won by 13 plus. I can't see them losing it, so I'll at least get a bonus back for it. Anyone got any multi anchors for us?
Well, I think the multi-anchor is something like just take the head-to-heads, Crusaders, Chiefs, Brumbies.
$1.20 or more?
Just
for the
$1.07 times $1.13 times $1.08. That's over $1.20.
For the oval ball multi-buster, we place 4+ league multi, and you get a refund up to $50 if you miss by 1, a 6+ league multi refund if you miss by 2, and an 8+ league multi if you miss by 3 or more leagues. Not 3 or more, just 3 leagues. Check the pun stance with terms and conditions of that. I've got Brumbies minus 7.5 at $1.30.
Right.
I think that will be going through all my multis. Have you got a league paying $1.20 or more? Sorry, I should have reiterated it was $1.20 or more. To put it through your multis, James?
Good question. Will Jordan to score?
Yeah, nice. Hard to disagree with that. I think it might even be worth throwing him to score 2 or more as a little wee bets as well.
What have I got to be?
$1.20 or more. Sure, there's a head-to-head there.
I'm going to take Crusaders minus 8.5 at $1.25.
There you go. Perfect. Great.
Nice.
And to finish off, we'll do our picks on the point starts. I'll just bring up the markets just to check what the
current lines are
at the moment, because there's actually been a wee bit of movement. Start Crusaders Reds on Friday night, minus 20.5 now. What have you got?
Extra 2.
Go on, move. Oh, that's still inside 3 converted tries. Give me Crusaders minus 20.5.
Balls on the Crusaders, James?
Yep, same here. That extra 2 points is neglect might come back to bite me, but yes, I'll go with you.
I'm going to go Crusaders as well. Yeah, I would have preferred the 18. I saw that. I think that must have just changed this morning there to 20.5. But I think that that just because it's that 3 converted tries, might just get us over the line. Drua Chiefs, Drua plus 17.5.
All right, let's move a couple of points as well.
Yeah,
it's all happening. No, I'm taking the Chiefs minus the 17.5. I think second half fitness will just get them through.
Yeah, James.
I'm the same. I think they're all going to be covered. To be fair, I think
this is looking dangerous. I'm also on the Chiefs to cover that online.
Here we go.
Moana Pacific Brumbies, I think we said before, is 19.5. Yep, 19.5.
Brumbies
Cover it.
Yeah, Brumbies.
They might cover it in the first half.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I think that's going to be ugly. I remember we saw Brumbies play against the Drua sort of early in the year. There's a couple of those games where the Brumbies sort of just ran away with it, 30, 40 points. So yeah, I can see I might get on a few alternative point starts in that game as well. Waratahs minus 1.5 versus the Blues.
Tars.
Yeah, Tars. Yeah, they're playing good. Blues have got a weak team. Then we've got Force Hurricanes Saturday night in Perth, and we've got 15.5 for that.
I'm going to go the Canes. I know. I'm going the Canes minus 15.5.
Yeah, my heartstrings get me every week. They'll be beating that.
Yeah, last week I said I felt bad backing the Hurricanes such big favourites, and they did the job for me. So I'll jump on the Canes again. This is looking really dangerous.
We're all in here.
We're cursing them. We're cursing these teams. We're cursing someone. Rebels Highlanders 7.5 points. Oh.
They beat it.
Highlanders.
Yeah, Highlanders.
I don't think
here
that's
we
ever
go.
happened before.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen. I just think that the Lions, is that cool? We'll have to do something up there.
We're either going to make a
Maybe
hell of a
have
lot of money this weekend, or we're going to be broke.
There'll be something for a little social media snippet there, I think. So awesome, cool. That's about it for now. Anything else anyone wants to sort of touch on before we call it in?
Nah, bring it on.
Yeah, looking forward to the final round, and then the anticipation of the playoffs.
How good. Can't wait. Awesome. Cheers for watching, listening, punters, watching, however you sort of inhaling this media. And we'll be back next week to preview the quarterfinals of Super Rugby. How good. Enjoy your weekend on the punt, and thanks for watching.